You want to know the secret behind building $1 million digital marketing agency? It's client retention. You see, it's so much easier to keep clients than to get new ones. Therefore, the real money is in retaining your clients, not constantly chasing new ones. Now, one of the most important parts of having a high client retention rate is your onboarding process. A good onboarding process can ensure clients stay with you for years, but a bad onboarding process will set you up for failure, even if you're actually great with your service delivery. Through scaling my own digital marketing agency to over $6 million per year, I developed a framework for creating a world-class onboarding process. And in this video, I want to share it with you. Plus, hundreds of our students we work with in seven-figure agency use the same system to hit 7 figures per year. I don't want to waste any more of your time, so let's dive in. All right, the very first thing you want to do when it comes to onboarding a client is welcome with a bang and appreciation, right? They've just had a great sales process with you. They've given you the credit card authorization form to get started. The longer it takes between when they do their onboarding call, when things get started, and when we share some level of appreciation, the amount of buyer's remorse they feel starts to rise. They start to wonder, did I do the right thing? Should I have gone with somebody else? Maybe I should just cancel this arrangement. And so you want to engineer, immediate connection, immediate, recognition that they did the right thing. And if you can drop something in the mail, like Sherry's berries, like chocolate covered strawberries, or a welcome basket, that goes a really long ways. We like to send a custom branded welcome box. This is our 7-figure box, but we have one for our agency, Plumbing and HVAC SEO as well. Plumbing and HVAC SEO on the outside, copy of our book, a pamphlet that explains what they can expect, and some tchotchkes. That's just unexpected, right? It's the little things that you do initially that make you stand out from the competition. So do something to welcome with a bang and appreciation. You can get creative with what you put in the box and how you make it custom to them, but I just want to plant that seed that they're going to get emails from you. They're going to get on Zoom calls. All of that happens in a digital space. Get something physical in their hands, and that's really going to stand out. Number 2 is we want to make sure that we make the collection of the data as seamless as possible. We know in order to hit the ground running with the client, we're going to have to get usernames and passwords, imagery. We're probably going to need to understand their unique selling proposition, maybe access to their Google profile and other online listings. And there's a lot of stuff that we need to gather. And so what we want to do is make it as easy as possible to extract that data from the client and put the heavy lifting on our shoulders instead of theirs, right? Because I think a lot of agencies will maybe send a form that's just like, go fill this out, and it's just like 17 question form with things they may or may not know, and they just kind of wait around on their hands for the client to submit. And once they submit it, we'll get started. And that's a recipe for problems, because that client, may not know what their GoDaddy login is. They may not have access to that Google My Business profile. They hired you so that this could get done, right? And if you're just waiting for them to fill that in, you could be a week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks into the relationship. And if you're on a retainer, they paid once, their second bill just got charged. And not only have you not started, you don't even have the onboarding form done yet. And so what I encourage you to do is make that as seamless as possible. Sure, go ahead and have a form, but break it into component parts so it's not as daunting. But make sure that you also, the moment the sale happens, hey, let's go ahead and schedule your kickoff call, right? And pull up the calendar of whoever's going to do that. If you're the owner, you're still doing it, schedule it. If you've got a launch coordinator, an account manager on your team, make that happen and get that on their calendar and your team's calendar right away, and have a structured process for how you're going to make it simpler for them. Even if your team needs to, do a joint call and joint call Google and joint call GoDaddy and tackle all of those to-dos as quickly as possible, as opposed to letting that lag on, can make a huge difference. And so in our process, once they sign up, we're going to go ahead and schedule in that kickoff call once we've got the credit card authorization and the signature on the contract. And then we're going to send an email that's like, hey, welcome aboard. Please take a couple minutes to give us some details about yourself. And there's a video of me and my business partner welcoming them, saying how excited we have them on board and how we're going to need to hit the ground running by getting all of their access details and things like that, so they could start that out by filling out the form. We've got some automation that fires once that form is filled out. And you want to have a sequence that happens that is going to email them and remind them about the next steps, encourage them that they made the right decision, and fill in the gaps in terms of what they can expect and set proper expectations. I think a lot of agencies wind up with great marketing sequences. Somebody opts in, there's a bunch of emails. Somebody schedules an appointment, and there's a bunch of emails and communication. But once the client signs up, it all goes manual at that point. I want to suggest, like we've got a new client onboarding sequence that's a month of pre-thought out communications via email that can really lubricate the manual conversations, because I want every single one of our clients to feel like I signed up with you guys, you over communicated with me, your account management team is Johnny on the spot, they're all over me, and I'm impressed, right? I want them to be impressed coming out of the gates. So number 3, what we want to do is map out the experience in the first week, the first 30 days, the first 90 days. And you can be really intentional with this. There's a great book called The E-Myth Revisited by Michael E. Gerber. One of those books I think you've probably read or listened to, and it's one of the foundational books. But there's a great example in that book about a hotel owner that just really crafted the experience of when you first pull into the hotel, the person knows your name. And then when you pull up to the front, they take you straight back to the room, and they've already got the room set up with the scent that you used last time. And they've got the room configured in a certain way where the fire's already lit. And they just were intentional about those touch points. And you can do the same thing with your client experience once somebody gives you the authority to move forward, once they say yes. And so I'll just walk you through this. Like in our world, right after they sign up, they get that quick touch with the account manager or the launch coordinator, schedule the kickoff call. They get an email from me saying, hey, welcome aboard, super excited to have you. Within the next 5 to 10 minutes, they're being encouraged to start filling out that onboarding form with an explanation of why that's important. We kick off the welcome sequence, which is that initial couple of weeks of communication. We're shooting for within the first 2 business days, we get the launch call on schedule. And that's a orchestrated call. That's not just, hey, let's get your new usernames and password, but there's a script and a flow for it so that you can train your account management team to have a great onboarding call that welcomes them and helps set proper expectations and starts to set the pitfalls that are going to happen along the way. Typically, after that 2nd or 3rd day, they're going to receive their welcome basket in the mail, which is goodies for them or for the people in the office, just to say, hey, thanks so much for hiring us. We're so excited to have you on board and excited about what we're going to accomplish together in the months ahead. Within the first week, we're shooting to have their pay-per-click campaign launched. So we want to engineer quick wins into our process so that, yeah, while they're getting great communication and while things are happening, we're also doing something that's going to get the phone to ring or generate a lead or generate a sale as quickly as possible. And we found that running a paid search campaign on, just a small segment of keywords to a landing page, we can start to get that motion happening. We're not looking to knock it out of the park or have them get a massive return on investment, but at least they're going to start to get some wins while we're building the website, while we're creating that content. After the 2nd week, we've usually had a chance to review some of the tracking, their keyword tracking, their reputation tracking, set up their call tracking. And so we want to schedule a session with them to walk them through that process and get them excited about, look, we're going to be doing all this stuff. We need to make sure we've got this baseline tracking, and this is what it is. So this is a structured call for that. By the time we get to the end of the 2nd week, we want to have their designed comp. So part of our process is we're going to launch a new website. We're going to make sure it's built to convert, and then we're going to, get it ranked, and we're going to drive traffic. And so they're excited about that new website. And we used to just build it on WordPress and run with it. And that led to some issues, right? Sometimes they didn't like the site, or sometimes it felt like it took 4 or 5 weeks before they saw anything. And so with the design comp process, we can design the homepage, the internal page. We can schedule a meeting with them and say, hey, look, we've designed this based on your design, your color scheme, your unique messaging. Here's why we did it this way. This is why it's going to convert really well. These are the 3 conversion elements we put in place, and really sell them on the concept. But that's a win for them. That's a tangible, yes, I can see this cool new website that's going to get launched, and we're getting their buy-in, so there's no surprises once the website goes live. In the 3rd week, we're usually reviewing some of the tools, which might be, if we set up Nearby Now and a review automation platform. As an example, we would say, hey, look, let's jump on a call. Let's walk you through some of these new tools that we've set up that we're going to want you to use, that we're going to want you to implement in the process. And then by the 4th to 6th week, we're looking to have the new website launched. So they approve the design comp. Our team gets to work putting the content in, getting it all built out in WordPress, and we're looking to formally launch within the 4th to 6th week. So that's a lot of really small micro touch points that experientially are impressive to the client, that are really mapped out and orchestrated. And what used to be in the past was an email, a welcome form, and then website launched, and hopefully the client's happy, where they got a couple of touch points too. That frequency, that intentionality made a massive difference in how well we retain the clients. So really map out that experience, map out that buying journey. And number 4, be super intentional about the quick wins, right? Regardless of whether you're doing Facebook ads, or you're doing SEO, or you're doing web development, you can't just say, hey, look, it might take us 6 weeks to get the site launched, and it might take another 4 or 5 weeks after that to start to see some traction. You need to be intentional about not just experiential wins, but actually engineering quick wins. And so that's like launching a paid search campaign in the first week, doing database reactivation, sending an email, text message to their past customers, to their past unconverted opportunities to try and get some opportunities in play, setting up live chat on their website or missed call text back, getting those things in play right away in the first week, in the first 2 weeks. You can actually make the cash register ring, right? You can actually get them a lead that turns into a sale. And when you combine some quick wins with an amazing orchestrated experience, you become bulletproof in the launch process. You really do. They start to be super impressed. And then number 5 is just make sure that you're communicating every step of the way and leveraging automation. So usually what I see is we're doing a million little tasks. Like we're literally doing like 75 micro tasks for the client, right? Setting up this, claiming that, putting this in place, putting that in place. And it's all tracked inside of our project management system, which is ClickUp in our case. It could be Asana, could be, Monday, could be whatever platform, but you're doing a lot of little things. But to the client, they signed up, they had an onboarding call, and they're waiting. And it feels like radio silence. And so there's no reason that you can't set up automations at the end of every one of your task completions and just send a quick note. Hey, we just did this. Hey, we just did that. Hey, our team just got this in place, to be a lot more assertive in the communication process, which leads to an amazing onboarding experience. And so when you get this dialed in, it can make a major difference. You'll really stand out to your client base, and it's going to buy you a lot of grace, and it's going to buy you a lot of time in the initial setup with any new client. This is the exact onboarding process we use to maximize client retention in our agency. Now, in our 7-figure agency coaching program, we not only give you every single detail that goes into building out this onboarding process, like the form templates, the welcome funnel sequence, the launch call structure, and everything else, but we also help you master all the components that go into growing your agency to $1 million per year. We'll give you the systems we use to land high-paying clients, deliver world-class results, automate operations, and scale to 7 figures and beyond. So if you're interested in shortcutting your way to $1 million agency, then I'd like to invite you to schedule a free agency acceleration session. On that call, we'll assess your agency's current position, identify growth opportunities, and craft a game plan that you can use to scale to 7 figures and beyond. With our systems, we've helped 137 agencies grow to $1 million per year, and would love to have you be our next client case study. So again, book your free agency acceleration session call below, and I'll talk to you soon.